Hello and welcome to this NDTV exclusive, the Contenders of 2014. I'm joined here in Amritsar by the BJP's candidate Arun Jaitley. Thanks very much indeed, Mr Jaitley, for joining us here in Amritsar in Punjab, where you're fighting your first Lok Sabha election. Now, I want to ask you that there's a perception about Rajya Sabha politicians that they are part of the decision-making process, but they don't win elections. Is this why you chose to fight the Lok Sabha elections this time? Did you want to make a point?
In 2004, there was a suggestion, but the responsibility of organizing it was given to me. Even this time, the responsibility of organization was given to me on the assumption that I still would not be contesting. But last minute, the party changed the decision and we decided that everybody possibly should be contesting. So I was asked to contest in Amritsar and here I am.
Okay, now when you say that the party took a decision that everybody should contest, now this is something which has caused some amount of friction in the party. I'm referring to the Jaswant Singh episode, who's clearly very upset that he wasn't given a chance. Why was that? Why was it necessary to deny someone of his seniority a ticket?
No, I don't think... you see, there's a system within the party. And the system is the names come from the district units, from the state units, and then the party's Central Election Committee considers it.
Are you saying that his name did not come from the ground?
I'll just tell you, there's a process that the party follows. Now, the calculations of the state unit were different. The social and the political combinations there. And therefore, regrettably, it became a little difficult to accommodate him, though a lot of us had sympathy for the factor that being a seasoned man and a very senior man, he could be an asset in any position. And he's a light person. Yeah. He's a well-liked person.
Which is why it was so surprising that he was denied a ticket.
And therefore, it could not be adjusted. At times, even good candidates who've been in parliament for a very long time and who have a substantial contribution to make don't get adjusted. That doesn't mean it's an expression of no confidence in them. Then you find other ways and means of their activism.
But he's taken it very personally. He says, I'm not a piece of furniture that I need to be adjusted or accommodated. And that he's worked for the party for so long.
I don't want to join issue on that. I only hope that he sees reason in the fact that he's made a huge contribution to us. The party also has added a lot to him. He's been in parliament for over 3 decades. His is a seasoned contribution. The party has added to it. The party has conferred various positions and privileges on him. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. It's a relationship out of respect. It's a relationship which is well regarded. And I do hope that wiser counsel prevails. As far as I am sure, I can tell you, within the party at the center, everybody has a lot of respect for him and there is not a single iota of any form of prejudice.
But was the decision, are you sort of suggesting that some of you, the senior members of the party, actually wanted to accommodate him, but the resistance or the pressure came from the state to not?
No, I don't think it's fair to use the word resistance or pressure. I think the issue really is, in the process of recommendations, a state finds it difficult to recommend a name for more than one good reason. So they must have had good reasons for it.
Now, Sushma Swaraj has said that she was very hurt when she heard about this piece of news, indicating that information was not something which was shared amongst all of you. She says, "Mujhe bahut chot pahuncha."
Now, I'll tell you, when a senior colleague is upset, all of us feel very sorry and upset about it. And therefore, the reaction of all of us is not very different from what was Sushmaji's reaction. But the fact is, the de facto reality is that he could not be accommodated because the state had decided to give that seat to some other gentleman who they thought had a better winning prospect.
He is now all set to fight as an independent.
I hope he sees reason. And I'll be very glad if he were to retract that step.
What if he pushes ahead?
Well, that's all right. We'll face that situation when it comes.
You actually wrote in your blog today that senior leaders of the party who've got a number of opportunities must also be prepared to accept a no. What did you mean by that?
I strongly believe that. For instance, if my party at a given space of time told me, well, in this tenure, there is no position for you, so just work for the party, so be it, I'll do it. There are lakhs and lakhs of people who work for the party without aspiring for a position. So if some of us, you see, I became an activist in 1970. I got my first breakthrough in 1999 after 29 years. Therefore, when lakhs of people, I was one of them. But when I got my opportunity, I've got more than my opportunities thereafter. So a relationship between a party and a senior leader is a very strange relationship, where at times you get all the good things, at times you have to take the bad ones also.
So you believe Mr. Jaswant Singh has been given enough opportunities in the past,
No,
and in this instance he should have accepted a no?
I don't say it in the context of one individual. Why should I make a comment about somebody I have a great respect for?
Yeah.
Any senior person, if he can't be accommodated in one term, there's a lot of opportunity, whether in government or in public positions or in the party, to work and help the party otherwise. We are all in public service. And public service doesn't mean that unless I get a position, I work for it.
Have you had a chance to talk to him? Have you had a chance to address some of these concerns?
No. You see, I have not had personally a chance to speak to him because I've been busy in the constituency here.
In the event that he presses ahead, is there a possibility that the party could take action against him? Is that a possibility?
I don't know. I think the party will meet and decide at that stage. It's a prerogative of the president to decide. I can't be predicting out of turn.
Mr. Jaitley, there's a perception based out of this Jaswant Singh episode that with the arrival of the Narendra Modi era of the BJP, a certain older guard of the party is being shunted out or sidelined. Would you agree?
I don't agree at all. There's a role for everybody in the party. There are some people whose presence in the party itself gives a lot of sage advice to the party itself, and everybody has a role. What position everybody gets is not the mere test.
So you don't think, as Jaswant Singh indicated, that he believes that this is a BJP which has changed, and that he has no space for in a BJP like this?
Parties evolve, individuals evolve, and therefore you can't say it's a party which has changed. It's the same party. Merely because one doesn't get a nomination, one need not rush to that conclusion. And I'm sure he won't be rushing to that conclusion. He's a very seasoned man. But I do feel that everybody in the party, including the seniors, have been shown a lot of respect, and they still have a lot of role to play.
My last question to you on the subject is that he was actually weeping when he was asked for his reaction to being denied a ticket.
Well, I can understand his emotion.
That's all you want to say on that. But when you say that there's a lot of respect for the seniors, you recently had another situation with Mr. Advani, who himself seemed extremely uncomfortable with the party's decision to, it seemed almost arm twist him to fight from the Gandhinagar seat, while he actually wanted to fight from Bhopal.
Advani ji repeatedly had said that he would want to fight Gandhinagar. At the last stage, a suggestion came from the Madhya Pradesh unit that he could fight even Bhopal. The party had decided Gandhinagar. And he had, in all fairness, recused himself from that meeting, saying, it's my issue, therefore I won't participate. And then, as a gesture of respect to him, the party left it to him to choose between Gandhinagar and Bhopal.
No, but that wasn't quite how it unfolded. Initially, you indicated very clearly that you wanted him to fight from Gandhinagar, and he refused. He said that he wanted to fight Bhopal, and the indication was very much that he was being, his hand was being forced.
The speculation in this regard is not correct. Till about 4 or 5 days before the decision was taken, he had clearly announced that his preference is Gandhinagar. At a later stage, a suggestion about Bhopal had come. The party decided Gandhinagar, but out of respect for him, we left the choice to him. And he then chose Gandhinagar in preference to Bhopal.
Now, Mr. Jaitley, isn't it surprising that someone like Mr. Advani would even have the shadow of doubt about a seat like Gandhinagar, which is in Gujarat, which is in Narendra Modi's bastion? Doesn't that indicate, as it did to some, that there still continues to be doubts and tensions between him and Mr.
Mr. Advani have doubts? It's Mr. Advani who in the end chose Gandhinagar. He endorsed Gandhinagar as a seat.
It seemed almost he was given no choice.
Not at all. The party president made a public statement after speaking to him that I have left the choice to him. He could have chosen either of the two, and we would have abided and respected his choice.
Was it a genuine choice, or was it a fait accompli presented as a choice?
It was absolutely a genuine choice.
And was the RSS also involved in mediating a solution?
So. I know it for a fact that they weren't.
The RSS was not involved at all? All that we heard about the RSS making calls, holding meetings?
That's factually not correct.
None of that happened?
That's factually not correct. In fact, before coming here, I was involved in that whole process. I met him myself, and I know it for a fact that it was not correct. The choice was left to him. It was left by the party president. The party president consulted all of us. And all of us, having decided Gandhinagar in the first instance, said, it's no big deal which seat he contests from. Both are extremely good seats, and we left the choice to him.
You don't think that this entire episode reflects the fact that there is a rift that's growing within the BJP?
See, I'm afraid that's an erroneous analysis. The BJP is genuinely a very democratic party. In fact, in India, we are not used to this culture of democratic parties. One or two people on the top decide in every party. In the BJP, it doesn't happen. Now, our good luck or misfortune is that whatever we discuss inside the party, the likes of Srinivas and Jain get to know of them. And because it's factually correct, we don't even deny it. So a party's affairs becoming transparent, I don't think there's anything wrong in it. Except that at times we in parties get a little sensitive. So the debate inside was, the first preference was Gandhinagar.
Right.
Subsequently, a choice for Bhopal came.
Okay.
Thereafter, the option was given to him. He chose Gandhinagar. Now, in any other party, this would be done in a hush-hush manner. In the BJP, you get to know it a little too quickly.
What about you yourself, Mr. Jaitley? You are somebody who's seen as amongst the most moderate faces of the party. You are seen as more accommodative and someone who would have been a much more ideal candidate in some ways, given that we're in a coalitional era of politics. Did you ever believe at any point that you could have seriously been a contender for the role that Narendra Modi has today, rather than the role which you've taken, which is to be a sort of a campaign manager, a publicity manager for Narendra Modi?
Frankly, no. And there are two good reasons for it. In the first instance, none of us can assume an aspiration because it's not up to us. And therefore, I realized across the country when I traveled in the last 2 years, and about a year ago, I was the first one who started saying publicly that there's a groundswell for Mr. Modi.
Not everyone in the party seems to have accepted it entirely. But recently, you had the Punjab Chief Minister at a rally introduce you as a potential Deputy Prime Minister of India.
You see, Badal Sahab is the grand old man of Indian politics. He's a very affectionate man. And this is his affection of recognizing your talent or potential and his style of canvassing for you. And I don't see it more than that. And I can honestly admit to you what I've already said. I don't nourish any such ambition.
But all politicians, in fairness, say that, Mr. Jaitley. Nobody accepts that they nourish an ambition in a public way, but all of them do.
You see,
so was this a straw in the wind? I mean, they say in politics there's no smoke without fire. So was this a straw in the wind?
It's really wishful thinking. Therefore, I would not get into this debate at all. But I can assure you, I have no such ideas.
You know, there's a very strange set of rumors that began to circulate in the internet, which you must have also come across, about this supposed 160 club that is trying to sabotage Mr. Modi's chances, arguing that if you don't cross 160, then people like you have a better chance of advancing your candidature.
Well, I'll tell you, in India, everybody is a political analyst. And the internet activists are genuinely great political activists. So they assume, they get onto the Twitter. That makes politics a lot more interesting. I'm not cribbing about it.
No, we wouldn't have taken them very seriously, except this was Madhu Kishwar, who's emerged recently as a very, very strong advocate for Mr. Modi and has almost become a de facto spokesperson of his.
So for her,
it's only because she started suddenly coming out with all of this that it created some amount of confusion, speculation.
I'm glad you chose to call it a rumor. I wouldn't even recognize it as elevated to the status of a rumor. I think this was just a table analysis of people.
Okay, so the suggestion that there is somehow some sort of a group within the BJP which is trying to sabotage Mr. Modi's chances, because that will actually allow them a chance to come into the picture.
How can anybody in the BJP ever dream of planning that the party gets less seats? It's just not conceivable. Today, we are in a position where we are at our strongest level and we want to continue that way.
No, but the concern being that if you have a leader or a leadership which is seen as more accommodative of allies, someone like yourself or someone like Sushma Swaraj?
I have completely the opposite analysis to this. And the opposite analysis is, if the BJP was 150 seats or below, we will not get an ally. If we are 200 to 25 plus, we'll get many more allies. So the test had to be, how do you reach that figure? Now, in order to reach that figure, you must have the strongest leader. And therefore, if under Mr. Modi we can reach that figure, we can cross the hump, then the possibility of getting allies before the election, after the election also increases.
Now, as you try to project yourself as a more moderate centrist force, and you try not to come across as a party that might have a very strong Hindutva or a hardline ideology, you also have a decision like today's where you try to bring in Pramod Mutalik of the Shri Ram Sena into your party. That decision has now been reversed as we do this interview. But how would you explain that? I mean, wasn't that an extremely unfortunate decision?
You see, I heard about it when I was addressing a meeting, and my immediate reaction was to call up my colleagues in Delhi and convey my personal concern about it.
You did that immediately, the moment you found out?
I did it from the dais. I spoke to my colleagues in Delhi from the stage itself when I was addressing a meeting, which you were covering. And I found that they were equally uncomfortable. I then spoke to somebody in Karnataka, but my senior colleagues in Delhi had already spoken to them to review, and the centre party directed to inform the state leadership that this has been done without our knowledge. I know it for a fact that neither our party president nor the organizing secretary were even aware of it.
You're saying that the central leaders had no idea about this? It was a decision taken entirely by the state unit?
It was a decision taken by the state unit. They didn't realize all the consequences. They didn't realize that India has changed. The communication systems have changed. And they took a decision, and therefore the central party took an appropriate decision. You see, this is an evidence of the fact that how we work. There's a lot of democracy in the BJP, but we also have self-correctives within us.
Would you say this is democracy, or the fact that the state unit actually chose to take on somebody who one would see as anti-democratic in every possible way?
Instead of indicting them, I think they took a wrong decision. And by the time people like me spoke to them, they had already decided to correct the decision.
So I just want to ask you then in conclusion what I asked you at the outset, that these concerns that the Modi era of the BJP is leading to the sidelining of leaders like Jaswant Singh and LK Advani, you're saying is not true?
The Modi era is not a concept. Modi is a prime ministerial candidate. There is still a role for Dr. Joshi, there is still a role for Mr. Advani, there is a role for Sushma Swaraj, there is a role for Arun Jaitley and Rajnath Singh. We are not a family-oriented party where only the family matters, the others don't matter. We are too democratic, in fact a bit too democratic a party.
What sort of role do you then envision for Mr. Advani?
Well, I think the party will collectively decide, but it will be something keeping its stature and honor in mind. That's my personal view. But I'm sure Mr. Advani will be always there to guide us.
Were you surprised that he decided to fight the Lok Sabha election? Do you think that that's something which sends a wrong signal or sends a confusing signal?
Mr. Advani is extremely active. He's been blessed, even at this age, with a very clear analytical mind. And therefore, if he continues to remain active, I think it's a great asset for the BJP.
The question of Mr. Advani's prime ministerial ambitions keeps coming up, and this is again something that came up when he decided to fight the Lok Sabha elections. Some believe against the advice of all of you. Is that a settled matter in the party?
You see, as far as the party is concerned, Modi is the prime ministerial candidate.
There's no question of Mr. Advani or anybody else?
There's no question of our discussing even any alternative at this stage.
Mr. Jaitley, thanks very much indeed for talking to us so candidly.